Hi everyone, welcome to this new session of this one shot. And in this session, we'll talk about ENT, and I'm your ENT faculty, Dr. Sanjay. Right, 2 hours we are going to complete the entire ENT, all the important topics. Right now, because in 2 hours it's going to be very challenging to complete everything. So what I've done is I've already written most of the stuffs on the screen and the soft copy that you have been provided. So I'm going to mostly highlight the points that you need to know. I'll also write a little bit, mainly highlight. So because we assume that if you have joined this session, you have already read these subjects. You already prepared for your exam, which is just few weeks away. And that's why this is just a revision session. So quickly we'll tell you all the highlights that you need to know. So those who have already done the studies, those who think that you know the subject, for them, this is going to be extremely useful. All you have to do is take down the notes and just revise these notes after the class also before the exam. Nothing else. This is true for all the subjects. This session is for that only. If you have done it already, just revise these subjects. You don't have to go to any other source. Just solve some MCQs and that should be it. And those people who think they are not very well read, they are not prepared well, for them also what you have to do is, again you have to make good notes and revise these only. Most of the questions are going to be asked from here, and if you think you're not very well read already, then sometimes because these notes are very concise and crisp, you might not be able to get the hang of few topics. In those topics you might refer to our app or class notes, but revision of the topics are the same. You don't have to do anything else besides this. So with this, very quickly we'll start, and the sequence is going to be ear first, anatomy, and then rest of the diseases, then throat, anatomy and rest of the diseases, and nose and sinuses. That is going to be the sequence. And in middle ear, as you can see, that in anatomy of the ear, the two important things that you have to know is middle ear and facial nerve. In middle ear, you have to know 4 important things. One is the station tube. A lot of questions from station tube, and as you can see here, station tube is 36 millimeter long. What is the difference of the station tube in a child as compared to adult? In children, station tube is straighter as compared to adult, and the function of the station tube, 2 functions: balancing the pressure and draining of the secretion. Now, a lot of people don't know the best investigation that should be done to investigate the station tube. Please remember this very important: tympanometry. This is a special question. A lot of people think that polygerization is the main investigation for station tube. This is the main thing, not polygerization. It's this one, which is then stapedius muscle. Now, stapedius muscle, 2 things. Function, most of us know it dampens the loud sound. A lot of people don't know that stapedial reflex is caused by stapedius muscle, and the afferent nerve is the 8th nerve, and the efferent nerve is the 7th nerve. That's a very important information. And if this reflex is gone, what is the condition called? Hyperacusis. Now, wherever I'm writing this MQ, that becomes a very special point. That means in the very last moment, if you want to revise the entire ENT in half an hour, 1 hour, just look at these points by marking MQ, especially important point. So the second important thing in the middle ear are 2 things: are the boundaries of Prusac space and boundary of facial recess. Again given here, in the Prusac space, lateral malleolar fold, neck of malleus, and pars flaccida are the boundaries. And facial recess, facial nerve, chorda tympani, fossa incutis. That's all. Now lately, if you are following the PYQs, you will be knowing that they've asked image-based question from the middle ear. So I'm showing you 3 images of the middle ear, and if they ask you any question related to the middle image of the middle ear, from this you should be able to answer all of them. Now look at the first image. Now this first image is a image of middle ear and the mastoid. A mastoidectomy has been done. So this is a post-mastoidectomy image, and that's why you can see easily, because the ear cavity has been enlarged. So to see the structure of the middle ear is much easier. That's why I've used this particular image. Now, one thing, when you get a middle ear image, you know, when we do surgery on the, how do you get the image of the middle ear or the pic of the middle ear? During surgeries usually. Now, there are only 2 views possible when you take an image of the middle ear. One is the lateral view from outside, and the second is from the mastoid. When you do mastoidectomy, from the mastoid, so that is a posterior view. So when you get an image of the middle ear and they ask you a question based on that, the first question you should ask yourself, is this view the lateral view or the posterior view? Because these are the only 2 views possible, because that can give you a fair amount of idea as to the relation of the anatomy of the middle ear. Now look at the first image. This is the posterior view actually, and the next 2 images are the lateral view. Okay, look at and that's why they look so slightly different from each other. Now the first image is the posterior view. That means when you're looking from posterior end, right in front of is the anterior wall. So this wall is the anterior wall, because right in front is the anterior wall, and this opening that you see is the eustachian tube opening, which is not that important. But three things very, very important: this malleus, this is the malleus, okay, this is the incus, and this is the stapes. Usually seeing the image of the stapes in a image of the middle ear is very, very difficult, but because this is a posterior view, and that's why you can see the stapes inside that oval window cavity. This thing that coming down is your facial nerve, and this branch of the facial nerve that goes through to the malleus and the incus is the chorda tympani nerve. So the most important thing in this particular image is to be able to identify chorda tympani nerve. So one of the hint of chorda tympani is that this nerve passes between the malleus and the incus, as you can very clearly see in this particular image. Now second image is a lateral view, and in lateral view you can't see much. You can see this handle of malleus, promontory, and a bit of incus. This is a bit of incus, you can't see it very nicely, so I'll write I here, incus, P for promontory. And third is a middle ear image through the tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane is intact, and so this is a retracted tympanic membrane. This is how a retracted tympanic membrane may look like. Usually this is grade 4 retraction. This is your promontory. How do I know grade 4? In grade 4, the promontory can be seen entirely. So this is the entire grade 4 of tympanic membrane retraction. Right. So then inner ear, labyrinth. Now labyrinth, they don't ask you too many questions from labyrinth, but I've noticed that when they ask you the parts of the labyrinth and the function of the labyrinth, a lot of people get it wrong. This is a very, very basic thing in labyrinth, the parts and the function. So parts of the labyrinth are cochlea, vestibule, and the canals. And we all know three canals: superior canal, posterior canal, lateral canal. Vestibule has two parts: saccule and utricle. And the second important thing are the difference between inner hair cells and the outer hair cells of the cochlea. The 6 differences, out of which 2 which are very, very important, are given on your screen. One is that outer hair cell produces the autoacoustic emission. OE stands for autoacoustic emission. Inner hair does not produce that. And outer hair cells are easily damaged by loud sound and autotoxic drugs. Inner hair cells cannot get damaged that easily. Okay, then so these are the important points from the anatomy of the ear. Our next topic is investigations that we do for hearing and balancing, because ear has 2 predominant functions: one is hearing, one is balancing. So we have some investigations for hearing and some for balancing. Now all the important tests under the heading of hearing, whether you can tuning fork test, audiometry, tympanometry, Bera, autoacoustic emission, they're all very, very important. Under the heading of vestibular function test, you can see many names. Some of these names might be new names for you, or you're not familiar with names, but you have to remember the names. That's the only important thing in the vestibular function test, the names. Because the type of question that sometimes they ask you, they'll give you few names and they'll ask you from difficult names, and they'll ask you which of the following is a vestibular function test. So unless you know these names, you might not be able to pick such questions. Okay, I've not given you all the names, but the 4 most important names: caloric test, fistula test, hint test, and VEMP, vestibular evoked myogenic potential. Now out of the 4 vestibular function tests, although from the exam point of view, caloric test is the only important test where they have been asking questions ever since this exam started, but last year there was a question on hint test. Okay, we'll discuss that question also. So in the meanwhile, among the hearing tests, all of them are important. Now tuning fork, these are the important names that you have to know. And the most commonly used frequency in a tuning fork test is 512 Hertz. The name is the frequency is given here. Now I'll ask you 2 questions. Please answer these questions. Let's see how many of you get it correct. The 2 questions from tuning fork which are very, very commonly asked in the exam. Number 1, this was a question which, suppose this is the right ear and this is the left ear. Now this particular question has been asked many times in the past. In the right ear, AC is more than BC, which means it's positive release. Left ear also, AC is more than BC, which is also positive release. Swabax is reduced on both the side, this side also, and Webbers is lateralized to the left side. So this is a particular test where Rennies, Webbers and Swabels, all the three are given, and they ask you what could be the problem in this particular patient.